Hi, everybody. Welcome to our first segment of the Homegrown Entrepreneur. This is your host, Patrick Gall, and I'm here to take you on a journey of an entrepreneur. So today, since we're getting started, I wanted to give a brief overview of what we are and myself. So the Homegrown Entrepreneur is a podcast designed to engage professionals and entrepreneurs in the industry with audience members and prospective employees or prospective business owners that want to start a startup of their own, to create a synergy and to also pass down knowledge to people that are truly looking for it from an entrepreneur or professional in their backyard. So that's how I kind of got started with looking into doing something like the Homegrown Entrepreneur. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and when I went to college, I went up to San Marcos, Texas. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I went to San Marcos, Texas for college at Texas State University. And I went to Texas State University. And I went to school for finance. I kind of came on a long track in college. I spent more time there than anybody probably should have for a 4-year bachelor from a state school. I spent 6.5 years there, but 2 of it was helping build a restaurant with a buddy of mine. So I'm not completely unaware of how to start a business. I'm mostly unsure of how to do it by myself. So in 2012, a buddy of mine, Andrew Napoles, and I, AJ as they call him, helped start a restaurant. We got everything lined up with a small business incubator, how to start the business, how to file, what's an LLC, and what we'd be needing in order to get the business started. And then initiated. He got the capital to get it going and just opened up a restaurant, rented a place, and started running with it. It was a very exciting, very fun, very fast experience. So I look forward to that same kind of thrill as we did with the restaurant, but now it's a little bit different. I don't want to come home smelling like French fries and beef anymore. I think now it's an opportunity to start up something that uses the more digital technology in the era we're in now. So that's why I started the Homegrown Entrepreneur. Also because I was a banker in Dallas, Texas for the next 3 years after getting out of the restaurant. And as a banker, my favorite part of the job was speaking to entrepreneurs. It's the thing that kind of kept me going because I wasn't truly designed for financial services and financial services sales. So sitting with an entrepreneur every day and finding out their stories really kind of guided me through to this, because you never know when a relationship could be really impactful and change your future. And which is what I'm trying to give today with the Homegrown Entrepreneur. So I guess it's a little bit about me and a little bit about the Homegrown Entrepreneur. It's going to be a podcast where we're going to have professionals in your neighborhood, in your industry, or in industries you're looking forward to. Excuse me. Industries you're looking forward to. Speaking to you about what it is that they do, how they got there, struggles they go through, successes that they've had, how they celebrate their successes and how they handle their failures. Big questions that people have always wanted to ask some of these entrepreneurs that we get from top level people, but we haven't quite seen from too many people in our backyards. And so I hope to share that with you today and throughout the time. So what I'm doing here is going to be kind of like a journal, because in a sense, I'm a homegrown entrepreneur myself, strictly with this. And so I'm going to have an ongoing podcast about me and the process I'm going through. And I have a business partner as well. So I'll explain the need for a partnership and how, 2 heads are better than one. And so that's going to be documented over the course of whatever the Homegrown Entrepreneur is, which, right now it's a digital footprint, but soon, hopefully, it becomes a great organization and a business that I can get started and sustain myself with, and then sustain the community with great content. So what I wanted to start about is in this journal that I'll be doing, I'll kind of be documenting the life cycle of the Homegrown Entrepreneur, all the way from inception to, honestly, there's really no end. It's just to continuously update with what we've talked about, to how it's executed, to what the results were, and how we've learned from it. Bring it all back. How did we learn from this? And then how are we going to move forward? The idea is that we're going to create a space for people in the area. We're in North Carolina right now, Winston-Salem. Same with San Marcos and Dallas. I'll be focusing on it first and expanding and trying to create kind of not exactly an Angie's List, but kind of a community for like-minded, business-minded people to get together. I kind of like to think of myself as like a Gary V Padawan. I watch Gary V and I see how he's so inspirational and pushes people to go to the next level. I want these videos to be a balance with that. I want them to be cohesive with the message of push yourself, don't be afraid to try hard, and always make sure to pick yourself up when you fail, and to fail often, fail hard, fail fast. It's kind of the idea we want to get across here with this podcast, and the people that we want to be broadcasting to are those like-minded individuals. So to kind of bring you up to speed with where we're at, this is 1 month into the Homegrown Entrepreneur, from simple Instagram page to now. I'd say the idea was only 1 month, but really we've been working on this idea for probably 4 years. I've been mulling it over in my head totally. And then, just constantly putting it off and thinking, oh, I need to get to another stage in my life before I can act on this, or, oh, something bad happened in my life, I have to recover before I can jump in on this. This is going to be the 4th year that thought process has gone through my mind. About 1.5 years ago, the business partner I have, Mike, not to give last names away on the first podcast, but my business partner, Mike, kind of pushed me. We've been watching these inspirational videos together for a long time, and he kind of pushed me and said, like, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it now. Time's only going away from you, which turns out to be a very valuable resource in the lives of entrepreneurs. So I've learned to take it very seriously. So about a month ago, I woke up, started an Instagram, created some posts that I've always been considerate of whenever I thought I was going to take action on this, some blog posts that I thought were always interesting to me. Posted them, went through and liked a few things from other people's Instagrams. Quick backstory, I have moderate experience in social media accounts. I have regular average use in Instagram, regular average use in Facebook, regular average use in LinkedIn, very little usage in Twitter. I've worked behind websites before, but I've never built one from the ground up and then asked it to sustain itself and constantly update it. This is all new for me. So that's just kind of prefacing into what we're about to get into, which is where I'm at. So with the current stage of things, we did the Instagram account, got some likes, some follows. We started off with 40 followers within the first 24 hours. So that was cool for us. I know that, on average, people have about 200-300 or followers, just like an average person does. But for the way we're going about this, which I'll explain further throughout the year and here in a second, from the way that we're going about this, 40 is very good. We're not digging so far deep into our own social networks right now. We're trying to see if we can do this and sustain itself as an individual entity, an independent entity outside of our personal friend groups, just for the experiment side. We'll bring in our personal friends to come in and start liking and following here in a bit. But right now, we're kind of seeing what the organic growth can look like. So the first was the Instagram account. Then I got a little bit anxious, and I was like, well, we should definitely lock down all the names in every social media site, all the major, Google Mail, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Thought about Snapchat. I have YouTube. So I thought about locking all the names in. And when I locked the names in, I thought the most important one's the website. We definitely need to get our website as close to our name as possible, which we actually did. I mean, we have www.thehomegrownentrepreneur.com, which for all of you posted viewers won't see me doing this, but I'm posting that in my live feed right now. This is also a live feed as well as is being recorded. So if there's anything you've missed when you came into this chat room, you'll be able to see it on the post immediately after, minus some time for publishing. Okay, so I've just posted the website for the homegrownentrepreneur.com. So we grabbed that first thing and decided that we're at the next stage already. You're going from an Instagram from an idea of a podcast bringing, I don't even know if I stated this, but the podcast idea is that we're going to be interviewing business owners in your area to get those answers from them. The ones that I gave earlier, those answers are going to be answered by business owners in your area, with a Patrick Gall spin on it. And you'll learn who Patrick Gall is throughout our podcast. But, I want to ask him fun things too. Like, who's your favorite artist? I think there's so much to be gained from knowing who someone's favorite artist is, or even in a different way, there's so much to relate to. So I'm going to do everything I can to break through an audience that's willing and excited to listen to content that's in depth, in person, showing you exactly how an entrepreneur started and the pains they go through, and show you that an entrepreneur is not so much different than yourself if you haven't even started yet. You're not so far off. And I realize that myself because as of 2 days ago, this is now a business. And that's what I wanted to talk about right now. So the Homegrown Entrepreneur went from Instagram, the life cycle of the Homegrown Entrepreneur went from Instagram overnight. We've just been talking about it forever. So we initiated Instagram, got some follows and likes. It kind of pumped us up a bit. Went through and got all the other social media accounts, got a website, and that's where things crossed the threshold. Once we got the website, I told my partner, Mike, my business partner, Mike, that I was not going to put any effort into anything other than Instagram because I'm learning this from the grassroots ground up as a new business in Instagram. It treats it completely different as well for other Instagram users that have not made a business one. You can promote views and you get analytics on anything that you've promoted and you can see likes and views and pretty much it gives you everything you need to do if you're going to try and monetize and turn it into something that's going to make money, or if you're just trying to grow your brand and you want to see how it's grown. All the numbers in the back end are already there. You can enhance it with what I'm about to tell you as well, but started with Instagram, Facebook, pushed a little bit on Facebook. I've got an app called Hootsuite that allows you to distribute the blasts throughout multiple social media accounts. So a little bit of automating had taken place, but basically not much. And then Mike called me one morning and said, you need to look at the website. Look what I did last night. Overnight, Mike turned just a domain name on WordPress into a full-fledged website. And we only had the free version. And for anyone that's done WordPress, well, not the free, the first version, which I think is $5 to $10 a month, even if that gives you access to make it. They'll let you access some of the tools, not any of the plugins. And for people that haven't used WordPress, plugins are like apps. I mean, they're almost the lifeblood of creating a website through WordPress is what I'm learning. More on that in a second. So we created the website. Mike created the website. I give all credit to Mike. Mike created the website. It had 3 great pages. It had contact page, blog, and homepage. Contact, blog, homepage. Yeah. And what I didn't mention before is that Mike's been so on top of this for a while with me that right after I made the Instagram page, either right before or right after, he sent me 2 really great logos for the Homegrown Entrepreneur off of a one-time draft that I've asked him. I said, I want it to be round. I want it to have our name in it. And I want there to be some sort of homegrown business feel. And as you can see in this top corner over here, that's one of the logos he created. It's the tree with the business tie, which I thought was amazing. So many opportunities with that too. I think if we ever did a doctor chat or a medical chat, we'd put a stethoscope, there we are, on there, and this, construction had so many opportunities to use that, but he did that. And so after making the website, and this thing is functional, it's beautiful, we kind of dove way deep. That's when we kind of decided that this is about to be real. Kept pushing the Instagram, kept reaching out to business owners. If you didn't anticipate that I was reaching out to business owners during this time, that was misguided. I've completely been reaching out to business owners throughout this entire month process to get interviews. But you'll realize, like I said earlier, a business owner's time is probably one of the most valuable assets you can kind of ask for somebody. Not to say and discredit everybody else's time, but business owners are a key type of people that value risk and time, which is 2 important things I'd like to touch on with every business owner that I interview. And I want you all to see the recurring theme, because I've had several interviews with business owners as a banker for since 2015 up to 2017, the heavier parts of those years. As a banker, I realized that time is everything to an entrepreneur. And so to do that, we've had to validate ourselves, which is why we've gotten so in-depth on creating a website. And one of us is a bit more amateur than the other. So Mike is very professional in marketing, digital design, digital media, digital strategy. He'd been doing it for 5 years for a company in San Marcos, Texas. And when he joined with me, I knew he was going to be my kind of rock for all digital media and marketing. But he's busy as well. So we kind of balance the time, and I have to do my best to learn these things. So WordPress has been completely helpful in generating a website, creating all the needs that you have into a consolidated package, and being able to kind of slowly go through as somebody that's not so intuitive on building a website. So I knew right away that I wanted my website to be on Google. So I found a great SEO, search engine optimization, which puts me at the top of the track if it works well. I'm doing great in Bing. Google just crawled me, and crawling is when you tell Google or Bing or a search engine to go check into your website and test it and see how big its digital footprint is, and then maybe kind of score it and see where it sits on the hierarchy of, if I Googled Homegrown Entrepreneur in Bing, I should be in the top 2, whereas in Google, I haven't been crawled yet, so I'm on the 3rd or 4th page of just the Instagram account. Because Google will find out about you. You're going to get traffic, and it's going to create kind of that open communication line where your website's pinging it, it's pinging your website. A little bit of a delay. It's not like my Instagram now might have 64 or 65 followers. Google might show it has 50. So there's a delay. Just for some insight for anybody looking to get some interested information in that. I thought that was kind of fascinating. So with trying to validate ourselves, we've been focusing heavily on the marketing and the distribution of what we have to offer component, while simultaneously still touching base with the entrepreneurs that we want to reach out to and that we feel we have as the lowest hanging fruit. So I'm in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I moved here a year ago. My girlfriend and I moved up here because she got a great opportunity with school for her doctorate degree. And then I was looking for some change and some travel in my life. I was looking to get out of the finance industry in terms of sales. So now I'm an analyst for IBM, working on Pepsi contracts. It's a weird hierarchy. And this was my passion project. I always wanted to do this. So we moved here from Winston-Salem, or from North Carolina to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, from Dallas, Texas. I'm sorry. Delete everything. I moved from Dallas, Texas to Winston-Salem, North Carolina about a year and a half ago, which is when this idea kind of started forming. And from execution to a month ago, I realized most of my network that I have to interview is in Dallas. So a lot of this has been trying to learn how we can do distance interviews and how I can reach out to the market here, which is the validation part. And so through the validation part, we've learned a lot about web design, a lot about plugins that are going to be beneficial, plugins that are going to add some weight to your website, which require, stronger load times, lots of psychology about how long people's attention even lasts for that. You might lose somebody because the load time took too long. Isn't that impressive? So, and all of this at the same time as hosting every analytics I can. I use Monster Insights that uses Google Analytics, and it gives me great reports on how many people have come to my website today? How many views did I get? 2 different things. Somebody coming to your website is not necessarily a new view. Or, it's going to be a new view, but it's not necessarily a new person viewing it. So if you have somebody that comes and looks at your website 5 times, you'll have 1 viewer and 4 views or 5 views. And so it's really interesting to track that, because you think about the monetizing side of things, and advertisers are going to look into those. They're going to say, how many views have you had? How many followers do you have? How many unique views do you have? So we're kind of being conscientious about all of this while building this very basic ground level podcast with some sort of monetizable business strategy that we're coming up with, and seeing how it launches. That's what this whole thing is. So it's got 2 components. What I'm doing right now is an interview on journaling how to be a homegrown entrepreneur. And what I'm going to be doing as the podcast is interviewing homegrown entrepreneurs to get their side and their take and their risks, and professionals as well. We've opened the door for professionals as well. So if you're a lawyer or an engineer, and I'm not talking about high skill level professionals, any professional will be interviewing as well, because everyone's story is unique and everybody has something to gain from somebody's struggles. So we're hoping to broadcast that. So you've kind of heard of what we've gone through so far, where we're at. Right now, currently, we're struggling with a couple funky features on the website. We want to enhance the homepage. We want to add the share buttons that kind of have a good look and vibe to what the Homegrown Entrepreneur's website is trying to put across, which is professional, but clean, concise, and not afraid to add some flair. And you'll see, I put the website here. It's going to be in the bottom description of this post. But we're also trying to document what the life cycle looks like for a podcaster. And through my research, I haven't seen very many business strategies out there for a podcaster, like developing an actual executable business strategy that you could post on something like Kickstarter or GoFundMe, or that you can put into a Shark Tank type of a setting to earn some venture capitalist money or get some type of scholarship or grant. So this whole process as well is going to be back-ended on the back end. We're going to be working on our business strategy and showing that to you as we do it, live feed, just like we're doing now, and we'll post it for anyone that wants to see it later. So now that y'all kind of know where we're at, this kind of brings you 1 month up to date. We only started a month ago, so this is a very fresh idea on this podcast, and you guys are going to be watching this from the ground up, real time. And I'll constantly be giving you results. To get a bit of an idea right now, we've done 3 promotions on Instagram posts that we spent a large amount of time on to perfect. We put 3 posts up, and we've promoted them on Instagram by putting a limit to how much we want to spend. So I put $15. I put a day term. I put 3 days. I want this to run for 3 days, and I want to have a $15 budget. And they give you the analytics saying we're going to reach 1,300 to 4,000 people, and this is what you're to expect. They kind of give you a benchmark of how many people it's going to reach, and then a range of what it can go to. I don't understand the range necessarily yet. But on top of all that, you're going to get data at any one point of where their clicks went to, because you can put a hyperlink to a website. You can say, hey, I want this to pop up on someone's Instagram. And then if they click it, it doesn't go to my Instagram, it goes to my website. You can see where their clicks went to, how many people clicked, how many impressions people had just reached. And, you're going to see at the same time how many people are following you. If you run an Instagram post, you'll know when someone's following you pretty immediately. So it's really cool. So our current numbers are about 4,000 impressions after 3 promotions. I've total spent $25 on promotions for Instagram just to see how it goes. We have 65 followers on Instagram currently. We have maybe 1 follower on Facebook, maybe 1 on Twitter. Our strategy too is that we're not going to overdo ourselves with the multiple digital media streams. I'm not saying it's not right. I'm just saying that that's not what we're focused on yet, but it is something that we're looking into. The more we can learn how we can automate, because we both do work 40 hours a week, both Mike and I, my business partner Mike, we work 40 hours a week and have lives. And so this is all under the same restrictions that usually an average person would have, which is why I think it would make it kind of interesting to see. And so where we're headed is, even in the immediate future, what I hope to tell y'all next week, what we've done is I've got 2 interviews coming up. I have one with a campaign manager. He managed a state Senate race for a first-time candidate for the Democratic Party in a traditionally Republican. In fact, the incumbent was running against him, the Republican incumbent. Traditionally Republican county. I won't go into details on the county. I want that to be expressed in the interview I get this week. But they were a close margin of loss, was the Democratic candidate that this 25-year-old, I believe he's 25, I'm going to have him tell me this, but I believe 25-year-old campaign manager had the experience to run, and he's actually rerunning in another election. I'm not sure which one, but we're going to get that from the podcast. The other interview I have coming up next Saturday, the interview we're going to have next Saturday is going to be with a real estate investor. And this guy's from Dallas. So this is a Dallas real estate investor who just passed the bar exam a little over a year ago, a little over a year ago, and he's now practicing law, but also runs an investment real estate firm with his father in Dallas, and that'll be a very interesting conversation. So you have to stay tuned for what we're normally doing as well, but this journal is going to help anybody that's looking to do a startup. I can let you know that Friday, I printed out an assumed name certificate, which is a business document you sign if you're going to do a sole proprietorship and you don't want to operate under your own name. I put the business name as the Homegrown Entrepreneur. Then I researched if the Homegrown Entrepreneur is used in my county or state and took it down to the Register of Deeds based on what I found on Google. Just simply Googled, how do you open a business in North Carolina? It was 4 steps. Find the name, print out and sign this document, take it to Register of Deeds, get an EIN from the IRS. So you just go to their website and go to the EIN. And I can post all this in the below description of where I found my information, and you could similarly do the same thing in whatever state you're operating from. And finally, I just asked if I needed a permit or any restrictions for what I do, which is I sell services in marketing, digital media, and advertising strategy, is how we develop this business. And I'll tell you too about how the sole proprietorship has told to me to work in terms of taxes, which we'll go through at the end of the year, is that the way your taxes are done is, let's say you make $50,000 a year in your salary, but you have a sole proprietorship, and in revenue, strict revenue. So if you sold 10,000 items for $5 each, you made $50,000. So if you make $50,000 in salary and $50,000 in revenue, then you made $100,000 for the year according to the IRS. As a person, as Patrick Gall, I would have made $100,000. And then on top of the revenue, you can write off expenses, similar to writing off the interest in a mortgage or writing off having a child from your taxes. You can write off, or a dependent, you can write off your expenses. And so my expenses so far totaling just under 1,000, I think. I'm just kind of averaging, but I spent a one-time upfront fee for the website for $300 for the business class one. That's the one that gives you all the plugins on WordPress. I think it's highly necessary. I think if you know explicitly what you're doing, it's probably a little excessive. I'm not sure. I still don't have that yet, but I think $300 is reasonable for me. $150 on the microphone. That puts us at $450. I put $26 into registering the business. That's the entire amount the business cost me, was $26. So now we're at $476. And I've put 25 out in ads. That's about 501. And then I paid $30 for somebody to write me a blog. I wanted to test the outsourcing of some of these services. I did that. And then I put $40 into a blog plugin that allows me to sort my blogs in a way that's a bit more readable. You'll notice, and if you're reading this, and again, on the bottom of the website, I'll post, or the bottom of this video, I'll post it. HomegrownEntrepreneur.com/blog. And I'll post it underneath the website, or the video here as well. So that's where we're at right now in terms of expenditures. So just under about $600 I've invested in this website so far, all write-offable. So if I make $50,000 and I did no money on my revenue, like if I made $50,000 with work and I had no revenue in my business, I can already say that I only made $49,000. What am I subtracting? About 600, 400, 49,400 if I was supposed to make 50. That would come off my taxes. Then I'd only pay taxes on 49.5. Let's not get too deep on the numbers, but you just write off exactly what you've expensed. And that's what I know it to be. Now, I do want to put a disclaimer. I am not a legal authority on this. This is my first time starting this. It's just how I've interpreted it. Write off gas, clothes. So we're going to go through the entire experience together. And I look forward to showing people in their towns the type of business owners, the entrepreneurs, and the stories they hold. Everyone holds a very amazing story. They didn't just start up in a way that they were making $1 million right off the bat. You know, I mean, there was probably a lot of digging, a lot of overcoming. Marathon runners will tell you that when you run over 13 miles or 10 miles, you usually have to get to this point in your mind where you have to tell yourself to not be a quitter. Very heavily, because there's something in the back of your mind that's always telling you, stop, you're okay, you need to relax, your body's breaking down. So those entrepreneurs are going to have insight of how they made it through those tough times. Many underlying stories or underlining storylines that I believe you're going to see are mentorships. I believe in this interview podcast, if I were to predict, you're going to see a lot of mentorships, a lot of struggles, a lot of sacrifices, several times making a hard decision that they've never made in their entire life up to that point. And by the time they had to make it, they realized they knew what they had to get done and they did it, but still very painful. I expect to have those kinds of stories relayed because, again, I've had 3 years experience interviewing business owners, and now we're just going to put it in the podcast stream for you to see. So where we're heading next is we're going to do the 2 interviews this week. We hope to better the homepage. I'm going to post this video. It's going to be my first video audio post on the website. And I'm going to put a comment section so you can ask me in particular questions about anything you want to ask that I didn't cover or that you'd like covered on another podcast. Because again, I'll be doing this consistently every Sunday. So if I don't get back, or if I say I'll put on my next podcast, I'll make sure to honor that. So that way I can get the questions answered, but I'm not going back and forth between commenting on the site and doing this. So I'm looking into creating a message board, a forum for people to reach out. And this will be the kind of style I have for interviewers. So if I interview somebody, I'm going to give them the option if they'd like to run their message board and give them an authorized admin login or an authorized login so they can message and it's their username on the website and you know it's verified. That'll be an offer. We're still working on that with the business strategy and the business plan, which I hope to have more refined by next week. So I'll give you a better understanding of it. But right now we're more in the content generation and validation. So our business strategy, we're trying to show how we're going to add value to business owners right now without including money. But we're in the process. And next week I'll explain it. I'll explain where we're at. We're at somewhere right now, but it's not refined enough for me to be able to explain it coherently. So next week, we'll come back. You come back and watch me like next week at this same time. I'm operating on the Eastern calendar, which is unique whenever you move somewhere new. 4:30 Eastern. So sometime around this time next week, come by. I'll be live feed on Twitch. Hopefully YouTube has me live feed. And I'll post it afterwards that night. So you'll hear more about the business strategy. You're going to get those 2 interviews next week. And I'm going to post a few more blogs. That's kind of what I'm going to be doing. And I give you all this because I want you to know what I'll be accountable for whenever I come back and talk to you next time. So if you have any questions, please feel free to write in the comment section below. I can answer them on the next blog or I can type in. I'd be more than happy to now. Everything's fresh and we're just starting off. So we look forward to fresh new faces, some new buzz, and some inspiration to put on people in the place where they're trying to see what's the next step in my life. What am I trying to do for myself right now? Is this what I want to be doing for the rest of my life? You know, things that millennials consistently have issues with, but I think things that are being more questioned just by everybody in society is, what is it for me? What do I want to do in this life? Do I want to have fun? Is the access there for me to make a revenue stream that I can do something I love? Can I leave my 40-hour a week work week? Do I only need to work 20 hours a week? You know, all these questions and more, we're going to be going through on this together on the journey of myself and the journey of others that we're going to have on these interviews. So thank you for sticking around for the first episode of the Homegrown Entrepreneur with your host, Patrick Gall. I look forward to talking to you next week and give you some more insight about our business strategy, interview with a real estate agent or a real estate investor, and an interview with a campaign manager for a local Democratic Party here in North Carolina. Thanks and stay tuned.